Yeah, we're searching the house. Hey, LT, there's a panic room inside the garage, downstairs underneath the garage.
So the kids were reportedly being held in a panic room.
Yeah, he said it's downstairs and it's underneath one of the garages, and he's calling it a safe room. He said something about Fort Knox, so I don't know if it has a Fort Knox door or safe on it, but that's what he's talking about. 10-4, we've got it.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Hello, Reporter Room investigators. Oh my gosh, we have so much stuff to get into. This is crazy. My name is Jessica Della Davies. I'm an investigative journalist. My job is to investigate crimes, consider potential suspects, and show you how to do the same thing. If you haven't already, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Let's get started. Everything I'm sharing with you is my opinion, and this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So we're going to be focusing on Ruby and Kevin Franke and the prosecutors in Utah because they released a massive amount of new video evidence. Now, this is going to take multiple videos for all of us to go through this, and I will not be showing any images of these little people because they have been through enough. So I'm going to play for you new jailhouse phone calls from Ruby to Kevin in just a moment, but I want to start by talking about Ruby and Kevin Franke. What did Kevin Franke know about all of this, and when did he know it? Was he enabling Ruby Franke? And why had he not seen his children for over a year prior to this? According to the Washington County Attorney's Office, they released multiple videos and documents, including Ruby's diary, and they detail what prosecutors believed was a religious extremism that motivated Ruby and Jodi to do awful things. Now, Ruby did plead guilty to 4 aggravated counts of CA, and as part of a plea deal, Ruby agreed to against her business partner, Jodi Hildebrandt. Now, Jodi also cut a plea deal with prosecutors and pled guilty to 4 counts of aggravated CA. So there's a couple of things that jump out at me when I'm looking at Kevin Franke and his interview with law enforcement. It's first that he refuses to say who told him to come down to the police department and pick up the kids. I do believe it was Ruby who told him to go down there. I think she called him and sent him down to pick up the little ones. Let's listen to Kevin Franke, and then we are going to listen to the jailhouse call between Kevin Franke and Ruby Franke.
But I am going to review the Miranda rights before we start. We're just kind of ask you a few questions about your involvement. Okay? So, first, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you in the court of law. Okay? You have the right to an attorney or to have him or her present while questioning. If you cannot afford to hire one will be hired to represent you. If you decide to answer questions, you can stop at any time. Okay? Do you understand your rights?
I do.
Okay. Do you wish to speak to me now?
Well, I want to pick up my kids.
How about this? We're going to ask you some questions, and if you don't want to answer them, you just say, hey, man, I'm not going to answer that.
Sure.
And
But to just say, hey, I'm not going to talk, that's not beneficial to you, and then we're done, you're nowhere, and we're nowhere, and
Sure.
you understand that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so just for starters, what was your full name?
Kevin William Franke.
How to spell that?
KEVINWILLIAM FRANKE.
And what's your date of birth? What's a good address for you?
I'm not comfortable giving my address right now.
Okay. But you do live in Springville?
I do.
How long have you lived in Springville for?
I moved there in 2007 with my family, so
Okay. And how many?
17 years.
17. And how many kids do you have, Kevin?
I have 6 kids.
And what are their names?
Some of them are teenagers, 2 adults.
So are they all living with you, or?
No. I haven't seen them for over a year.
Any of them?
No, none of them.
For a year?
Over a year.
Okay.
I've been in a separation.
From who?
From my wife and family.
What's your wife's name?
Ruby.
Ruby. When's the last time you saw Ruby?
The last time I saw her
Yeah.
was the 18th of this month. We met to, she requested me to sign over vehicles, or the titles to the vehicles, the vehicle that she drives, that were all in my name.
When's the last time you physically saw?
The day that I moved out, July 24th, 2022.
24th of 2022.
Or July 25th, July 25th.
So it's my understanding that at least home here in Kayenta and Ivans, have you been to that home?
No.
You've not been to that home?
No, I don't know. I don't know what's anything that's been going on.
Like, this is good, man. Like, I would love to be able to help you out with this, and like, I'm seeing the light of being at home because I'm unaware of your involvement in what's really going on. So for you to say that you're unaware of the status of your kids kind of makes, I know that sounds kind of crummy to you, but it sounds kind of good to me. Like, who lives in that home with your, is it ex-wife? Is it currently a separated wife? Like, who lives in that home with your children?
To be honest, I don't know. I know that she's there with 4 of the children, and our 2 older children have moved out.
So, are you bothered by the fact that he does not seem to know anything about who's even living with his children? And again, should the children be entrusted back into his care? Let's continue listening to Kevin with law enforcement, and then we're going to play the jailhouse call between Kevin and Ruby.
They're not at your home in Springville? And I'm not trying to trip you up. I can see you're hesitant to talk to me. I understand that.
Well, where I live, no,
Yeah.
I haven't seen them for over a year.
Okay. That's tough. I can only imagine how that feels, man. I got kids. And not have seen them for that long, that would tear a little piece of my heart out.
Of age to drive. Does she drive?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, I know nothing is going on
So-
in their lives or anything going on.
How did you find out that you needed to come here to 55 North Main Street?
I received a message that I needed to come pick up my kids from the police department in Ivans.
And who was that message from?
Well, I prefer not to say right now.
It would just help us a lot.
I'll try to figure out who reached out to you because it makes sense that that would happen. I'm just not aware of anyone who did that from our department.
Right. And I'm not comfortable saying right now who reached out to me.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you haven't seen any of your kids in over a year, you said?
That's correct.
And then, how old last time you saw her? How old is she now?
15.
She's 16? Okay. And then, when all the kids left, Ruby took all of them?
Yeah, she stayed in the house and I moved out.
Okay. And did you ever try to reach out to the kids, drop by the home, or
No.
was
I
there?
honored the no separation boundary that we agreed to.
So, what
Or
was
no
your separation?
contact boundary, excuse me.
Did you have a no contact order in place?
Order? No, this was between my wife and I.
So, what did Ruby ask of you when you separated?
What did she ask of me?
Did she ask you not to contact the kids?
Ruby invited me to leave the home while I thought about the choices that I've made in my life and the way that I've treated her.
Okay.
And so I left.
And how long had you and Ruby been married before?
We were married in 2000.
So about 22 years?
When we separated, we were going on 22 years. Yes.
Okay. And during your marriage, how was disciplining your kids? How would you discipline your kids?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Okay, that's fine.
Have you been since separated or since they lived here in the city of Ivins? Have you communicated with your wife regarding like disciplining with your kids or their care or their physical well-being?
No.
So is she doing this on her own and just telling you how your kids are?
She's not telling me anything about the kids.
Who's this female Jodi that your wife lives with? Do you know a female named Jodi?
She is a therapist and a life coach, I know. And she's...
Do you respect her?
Do I respect her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think she's a very honest, truthful person. Yeah.
Kevin's answer here really concerns me. It makes me question his judgment. Let's continue listening to Kevin with law enforcement, and then we're going to play the jailhouse call between Kevin and Ruby.
Okay. You place value on Jodi?
I don't know what that means.
Like, do you value what she says and how she treats? Is your wife a client of hers? Is your wife a partner of hers? Is your wife a roommate with her? Your kids are living in her house is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not aware of that, but I know that they've been in business for the last year filming.
Who's they?
Ruby and Jodi. They
Ruby
film
and Jodi.
podcasts, and so every week a podcast goes up and I listen to it. And
What's the name of it?
Connections with an X.
Like CON.
CONNEXIONS. Yeah.
And then, do you support them in that role and doing that and having?
Do I support them in the business?
Yeah, like do you support them and think that what they're doing is a good thing, or?
Yeah, I support their business efforts. I think it's a good thing.
Are you involved with their business efforts, or?
No.
Okay. So just Ruby and Jodi. No
In
Kevin.
the business?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And were you involved in the 8 passengers account with your family?
Yes. I was in the videos, and if that's what you mean.
I briefly learned about this 2 hours ago.
So, did Ruby more so do the videos for the family?
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you guys do that for?
She started the channel in 2015, and as far as I'm aware, from the time I left, the last video she uploaded was towards the end of 2021.
Okay.
And I'm not aware of anything she's done since our separation. I don't visit 8 passengers anymore.
Chapter of your life that's gone.
It's a past chapter, yeah.
So how do you and Ruby communicate? Just through text, phone call?
Through text, and if there's anything considered an emergency, we agreed that we would communicate through a phone call.
Okay. And do you know her phone number off the top of your head?
The top of my head? No.
Okay. No worries. So, how often would you guys communicate while she was down here?
Well, I don't know how often or long she was down here. We've communicated maybe 4 times in 2023 since January.
So are you aware of how she disciplines the kids or how she handles
No.
the kids with behavioral issues or anything like that?
No.
So you're unaware of how she does that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of the physical condition of your children?
No. No. I've chosen to trust my wife with the children.
Again, this really makes me question his judgment. In the interview, The police officer asked Kevin what he thinks about Jodi Hildebrandt, and Kevin says nice things about her. He thinks she's good at her job, and this makes me really concerned for Kevin's judgment. I find it deeply concerning that Kevin had not seen or spoken to his own little ones in over a year. He said he was financially supporting them, but just sending a check isn't the same thing as being a father. So what do you think about this? Does Kevin bear some responsibility for what happened to these little ones? He told law enforcement that he trusted his wife, Ruby, but we all watched the videos from Ruby and Kevin Franke, and I'm unclear as to why he would trust Ruby unless he was on board with her parenting tactics. This makes me really concerned about the little ones being entrusted back into Kevin's care. We've seen so many terrible outcomes for little ones in cases like the Harmony Montgomery case. In this case, Harmony should never have been entrusted back into the care of Adam Montgomery. One of the most disturbing things about Kevin is that I never saw him shed a tear. I didn't see him looking visibly upset when he learned what had happened to two of his younger little ones. He seemed to be in denial and disbelief, and maybe somehow law enforcement wasn't telling him the truth. But I never saw him get upset or demand to see these little ones. And I think that if most parents found out that their little ones were in the hospital, they would move heaven and earth to get to the hospital to see them. So he did have his head down, but he also spent a good portion of his adult life in front of cameras. So let's face it, he knew how to act with the camera rolling. What is your instinct about his body language? I'm going to play for you new jailhouse call between Ruby and Kevin Franke in just a moment, so please stay with me. So one of the things that was really striking to me is that law enforcement officers seemed genuinely surprised that Kevin was there. They had not contacted him. They repeatedly gave Kevin an opportunity to share with them who had contacted him and told him to come down to the police department to pick up the little ones. And Kevin was flat out refusing. So in my opinion, he was still covering for Ruby because I do believe she is the one who called Kevin. Let's listen to this jailhouse call between Ruby and Kevin.
This is a free call from
Ruby, Frankie, Purgatory Corrections.
an inmate at Purgatory Correctional Facility. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept all communications from this inmate and cellmate. To deny this call, press...
Yeah.
Yeah, hi.
Okay.
When I saw how long this separation was lasting, I wanted to think of some ways that I could bring in money or make some money if you didn't ever come back. So that's when I asked if you would co-sign on a loan if I found a house, and maybe I could Airbnb it or rent it out, or I've been playing with numbers in my head and I think I could make something, but I don't want to be dumb and I want to be very conservative. So I pulled the money and I have it in a bag. And
With you? Do the police have it?
well, I don't know what the police took. I don't know what the police have.
But the bag is at Jodi's house?
They can't just take people's money. I mean, that's not right.
Well, they're not going to take the money, but when they have a search warrant, they have access to everything in the house.
Sure. Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to need that money.
We might do. So, I haven't been making big purchases. I've been very conservative. I think the biggest expense has been the kids' schooling, and that's, they have enough curriculum to get them for a couple years. So.
Okay. I just received a text from Ted Dawson out of the blue. Ted Dawson, who I haven't heard from in years.
What, he just texted you?
Yeah, the story's out. So he said, Stormy sent me an article and it just broke my heart. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you, and if I can ever be a resource, we are always here.
Are we in the news?
It sounds like at least you're in the news. I don't know about me. I don't know what he's talking about. But
I'm wondering if they went to Sherry to, ask her questions.
I don't know.
These bookings are public.
I know they are. And a couple of months ago, Business Insider was reaching out to me, and I ignored their email, but I'm going dark.
This is a witch.
I'm not at BYU anymore, so I don't know how they're going to find me.
Yeah, maybe it was a blessing. This is a witch hunt. The devil's been after me for years. And
have you shared that with the detectives?
I have not said a word until we have an attorney.
Okay, well, you know that this phone call is being recorded.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Yes, that will come out. That will come out.
Okay.
When we were driven to the jail, the detective was putting us in the car, and Jodi said, "I trust you." So
they're going to be in the hospital for 3 days.
So weird. It's just not necessary. They're trying to exaggerate this. Oh.
I don't. They didn't show me.
Like the hero.
They didn't show me any pictures or anything. But the way they described it, it was very serious.
You have exceeded the allowable time for this call. Goodbye.
And please see the truth. I know it's obscured.
I'm where I see the facts, I see the truth, and that's what I'm gathering.
You know my heart.
What are they charging you with?
2 charges of second-degree felony for child abuse.
2 charges of second-degree felony child abuse.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That's very serious.
It's interesting, I had the prompting over the last month to read Viktor Frankl. I was reading him, and it was like, the worst part was not knowing the end. He said he had an inmate that's man searched for meaning, and he was a prisoner in World War II, and he said the worst part and the greatest bringing of depression was not the lack of food, and it wasn't the weather conditions, it was not knowing how long it would last. So I think I was prepared for this. I do feel strong, I feel calm. And you know what, adults have a really hard time understanding that children can be full of evil and what that takes to fight it. You've seen what it takes to fight evil. It's not the person you're fighting. And it can look like something it's not. And you've been there, you know that. And so I don't know any adults who are going to see the truth. So I'm calm about this, and I just pray that you'll hang in there.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
I think I can call back, but...
Yeah, but just in case, I'm preparing to step up and fight for the children. They've been taken. And there's going to be a hearing in the next couple of days here in Provo.
I'm sorry, I signaled to Joe. Will you say that one more time?
Yes, I'm prepared to step up and fight for the children. They've been taken into custody they're in foster care, and there's going to be a hearing within the next 2 or 3 days.
What about Abby and Julie?
Them too, all 4 were taken.
Where did they go to get Abby and Julie?
I don't know. They while I was with them, they got Abby, and they were looking
You have
for Julie.
exceeded the allowable time for this call. Goodbye.
What do you guys think? Please subscribe and hit the notification bell because I'm going to be airing the Chad Daybell trial.